take on the world. Standing tall, we gotta make it our own. No waiting around. Winners would never look down. No one can stop us, we got it. The future is right in our hands. Give it 100%. We gonna take on the world. Yeah, we gotta move. Speaking the truth. Yeah, paying our dues. We making the news. Yeah, we hitting the roof. No, we don't wanna lose. Climbing and shaking the walls. We gotta break all the rules.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Jaguar with your three beautiful hosts, myself, Matthew, Josh Allen, everyone's favorite Josh Allen, and Mr. Cody. Welcome, everybody, to Victory Thursday.
That's right.
Little unorthodox, but that's how the Jags do, right? Who needs?
Or if
Victory
you're
Monday?
Jacksonville, it's probably Thong Thursday, you know? Here we are.
Oh man, that was great. What a great week, guys. Like, it always feels good coming off of a dub. You know, we've had a lot of games this year where, you know, we were this close, but we always lost, and it never felt good. But it feels good to come this close and actually finish it off, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. And you were there in person.
I was, and I know you were at a game earlier this year, and your experience was very different than mine.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And I'm happy that it was different, honestly. Like, I would not wish what I went through at that Houston game on anybody. So, yeah, it was very, very thrilling.
So, real quick, I'll make this as fast as I can. I hate to say this, but this was actually my first Jacksonville Jaguars game. I know.
Yeah, it's first time for everything. There's no shame in that, man. Like, a lot of folks take for granted, like, it's expensive, and not everybody, you know, is fortunate enough to be able to go to a lot of games. So, no, that's
you're the good luck charm, dude.
Man,
you're the opposite of Eric Dunn.
We're undefeated, baby, when I go. No, like my family moved to Jacksonville in 1995, so the Jaguars were there, and I was a huge Jags fan from the beginning. But my parents were super religious, and Sundays were day of rest, no TV. The only thing we could do was take naps or play board games or have fun with the family. And that was it. So, I didn't get to really take part in the Jaguars. And then, adulting happens, right, when you get older and things happen. So this was my first chance to go. And wow, what a way it started. So I get there, right, and I'm sure you guys saw at home. It started late. We go into the we try to go to the stadium early. I went with Sam. She does the main podcast, and it was just pouring. I mean, it was just pouring down.
Uh-oh, Agent, we got our first comment. Agent Ha chimes in. Best rats in the game. You're darn right.
Hey, that's right.
It's a Duval delicacy.
Mr. Hodge, we carried the division this week, so you're welcome.
That's that Florida spice.
I was going to say everything's great except the fact that my back hurts.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw, the whole team's listed as questionable with back injuries from carrying the division this week. So
I loved it. No. So we get there and it's just soaking wet, like down to the bone. They're not letting us in. It was really weird. We finally got in, and we know what happened from there. But it was so much fun. I ate the food there. I didn't see any rats, but I think after having such a bad inspection, it's probably the best time to eat there because
I imagine things are more spotless than they would ever have been.
But I thought it was great. I was a little worried when we first sat down. We were in the visitor section, so that was kind of a bummer. But at first, before the game, I mean, it was just a sea of purple. I mean, it was just, I don't know what it looked like from TV. But as the game wore on, there were actually, it was a packed stadium. Are few far between. You have to celebrate.
Yeah, I guess from victory. Yeah, get back to us when your team beats a team that's above 500. Right? That's all I gotta say about that. So,
in the stadium, and I know Josh, earlier in the season, you had said that it was a really just awful experience from the Jaguars fans' perspective. It let you down, right?
Yeah, it made me sad how much it wasn't fun. It just wasn't fun, like, at all.
Yeah,
it sounds like you had a good time. And again, I'm happy to be wrong. Maybe they got a lot of complaints, I hope, and they decided to step their game up a bit. But it was also it was miserable hot the day that I went to, and I think it just put a damper on everybody's energy level. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the weather felt fine, but I was impressed. I've been to FSU game. No, I've never actually been to an FSU game, but I've been to Gator games. I've been to a bunch of college football games. And I know the atmosphere there are usually a little bit more intense, electrifying, I guess, versus NFL.
Yeah, it's a different feel.
But I think Jaguars are typically, at least when you see on TV, they're just.
What do you think of the production value of like the video boards and things like that? Like, as a first time visitor, like, what did you think of like the giant screens and the videos, like the different interspliced, like, during timeouts and whatever, like all the stuff that they had up on the boards?
So if they would have been half the size, I would have felt the same, honestly. Like,
yeah. No, but just as far as the quality of the content, not necessarily the size of the screens, like,
right. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I've been to other NFL games, been lucky enough to go to other stadiums. And I tell you, that's the one thing that the Jaguars have always seemed to do comparatively well with is the just the quality of the content that they produce. The team has rarely ever matched that on the field, but
interesting. The pregame video was freaking awesome. They did a theme for all the player introductions, the Marvel theme. That was awesome. But no, I thought it was great. The fans were awesome. They were super loud. We were all super loud. Sam was especially loud, but
well, she's so loud that she came down with Ebola. So prayers up, thoughts and prayers for Sammy Football. She battles Ebola.
But a lot of fun, I've been to a lot of live games, especially college football. And I hate to say, but I almost prefer watching it on TV just because, you get the perfect view, right? You can get up and go to your own bathroom, eat your own food, whatever. But it was, and then like, the game sealing touchdown at the end, they were on the other side of the stadium. So I was watching the big screen anyway. So, everyone has experienced that before. So.
Yeah, I think the roar of the crowd is something you can't really reproduce. That's probably the only thing on TV that they can't reproduce either same or better. But for me, if I was going to get season tickets, it would be upper deck dead center. Because you can see everything, and there's usually a much better breeze when you're up that high, even on the hot days. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad you had a good time though, man. I'm glad you're able to hang out there, and like I said, I'm glad it went better. I'm glad for the result on the field. So where do we want to start talking about that? These Baltimore bums went home with an L. We made Lamar Jackson so mad that he was like tweeting out vulgarities at fans, and the league and his coach had to tell him to delete it. So all I can say is I love to see it. So
it's like, hey team, I want 200. I want to be the highest paid player of all time, and then let me go tweet this craziness to the public. Like I don't know if everyone.
He showed who really deserved that Nickelodeon award,
bro.
Like, hey, I want you to pay me a lot of money so I can be the representative of your team and what you stand for, right? Like, I don't think he helped himself.
Yeah, I don't think he did either. I think he hurt his stock a little bit in terms of what his payout. But I mean, all's well that ends well too. If they go on a run and make it deep into the playoffs, like people will forget about that pretty quick. I do think it shows. A lot of people say that these players, the high paid ones, even the good ones, they don't really care. And I just don't think that's true, right? Like, you don't go and pop off at that fan the way he did if you're not bothered by the fact that your team lost. If you're not invested in it. So the one weird takeaway there, you can see that losing does bother him as it should. And he was, I don't know if you watched any of his press conference afterwards, he was actually very complimentary of Trevor Lawrence. And he's like, he went out and played his butt off and won the game. But anywho, all right. So where do we want to start? Offense, defense? What are we looking at?
Cody, what'd you think of T-Law?
Dude, he had an amazing game. I mean, the big takeaway for me is the 2-minute offense at the end, driving down the field to get the touchdown and ultimately the victory, whatever it is. It's that's what I judge like a high caliber quarterback for, and he proved himself in those moments to me. There was some interesting stats that I didn't even realize that of all the games that that we had in the L column or whatever, it's easy to go unnoticed. But he has more games over the 100 mark or whatever than Josh Allen, and I had no clue.
That's a weird stat.
Yeah, it's insane, man. So like, no more Trevor hate. We're fully behind Trevor now. He's Duval till he dies or whatever. He mentioned this cleat designer, and he said East Side first, but then he corrected himself and he said out East. So he's full Duval now, and he's staying here forever, hopefully. And we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. We're gonna win that. Can I say this?
Yeah, say it, man. We all know it. Say it.
We're gonna win that bitch.
May Jalen Ramsey may the fleas of 1,000 camels infest Jalen Ramsey's armpits forever. That's all I can
But
say.
he left us with a good line, dude. That's a good one.
Yeah, he did. But as soon as he said that, I said, "No, we're not. We're not. Now we're cursed.
Ah,
You idiot! You
ah.
you did it to us." But anyway, no, I think Trevor Lawrence had a game-winning drive where finally you saw when everyone drops this term generational talent. You finally saw that in that drive. You know, the cynical person in me says, "Well, okay, can he do it again? Right? Once is great, but like now, can you do that regularly?" You know, and I think Luke Fortner deserves a game ball because without Luke Fortner recovering that fumble when Trevor Lawrence got blown up, you know, that game turns out very differently.
All
Uh,
right.
but Trevor, I mean, he had a good game. Jermichael Hasty, like, you know, from us sort of out of nowhere, you know, Travis Etienne comes out with a toe injury or whatever it is that he's got going on with him. You know, so it was interesting. I think Zay Jones, Fred Hampton says that Jackson make a run. Man, stranger things have happened, Fred. Shadows of 1996, right? The team gets it together all of a sudden. You know, the offense is clicking, the defense playing just well enough. You know, the stat that I saw after, you know, the Jags beat Detroit and the Eagles beat the Titans, both of which are, you know, very much plausible. The Jags then control their own destiny. If they win every game, if they win out the rest of the season, they win the division and they're in. You know, but
So you're telling me there's a chance?
there is a chance, man. There's absolutely a chance. You got somebody from the AFC South fan battle group. Jags have a leash around the Titans' throat and about to reel them in. I hope so. We'll see. I would love to snatch this division from the Titans, and just it would be great. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yep. So T-Law, I thought it was wonderful. It's I mean, you guys know when you see him in person versus TV, it's very different.
Yep.
And I've been very happy. I haven't jumped off the bandwagon with him this whole year. I'll be honest, a few weeks ago I was probably getting a little bit antsy with him, but you know, I've been very impressed with him lately. I think part of it was the game plan. If you saw at the beginning of the year, they just let him air it out, just sling it right at the beginning of the year, which worked for a few games, and then it kind of just it got bad. And then I think he got in his own head and got scared a little bit. And then I think the past few games before this game, there was a lot of safe throws, like very comfortable throws for him to make. And I think that's kind of built up his confidence and his rhythm with his receivers and his backs. And I think that all came to culmination this past week where they weren't all just safe. I mean, he was dropping some really awesome dimes out there. He was anticipating, he was throwing his wide receivers open,
Yep.
or throwing them in spots where they're going to be, right? Versus just kind of throwing it behind them or whatnot. There were a couple plays where he kind of, as soon as they hiked the ball, he stared at his receiver he wanted and never looked away. It worked out, but I'd like to see him grow from there, where maybe looking off the safety and then throwing it to the guy that you want. But, you know, overall, I was super happy with what he did. And like Cody said, the 2-minute offense, he had to do 2 drives to steal the game, which was awesome.
Yep.
And you alluded the fumble, man. If Fortner hadn't jumped on that, we'd be probably talking very different.
Well, that and if that 2-point conversion doesn't work out, you know, it's a very different feeling for that game, right?
I was pretty confident when they went for it. I was like, you know what, and I was okay with it. Even if they hadn't gotten it, I wouldn't be upset about it. It would have sucked, but I thought that was the right play.
I think people would have still been positive, but less so, right? But the cool thing about that, I don't know if you saw any of the hubbub after, but the players went to Peterson on the sideline after that touchdown and said, we want to go for 2. And Trevor Lawrence basically led the charge to say, you know, we know what play that they called the play, like they knew what play they wanted to run, and they went and did it, and that was pretty wild to see. You know, and then it's always cool to me, like everyone hates, even I have hated on Andrew Wingard, you know, on the defensive side, but it's good to see a guy like that like make a play, and then his comments afterwards about when to you know, he would die for Doug Peterson, and he made fun of. Andrew Wingard seems like a Jags fan that got to play with the team. And I think
he really does.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, he really does.
Another really cool thing I thought in the game was Hasty. I was really awesome to see him step up. He didn't get a whole lot of rushing yards. He got 28 rushing yards. But where he made a big difference was in the receiving game. I mean, he put up 67 yards and a touchdown, but a lot of his passes were very key plays on very key downs to extend the drives, which I think Evan Ingram had done that a lot, and he kind of disappeared in the game. He only had one target, but he caught that target. But overall offense, I was just super, super, super happy with it. Let's hope we can carry it into the next game. And then what about the defense? What are your thoughts on the defense, Cody?
So the first quarter, I was like, it just looked like the Ravens can just do whatever they wanted to us for a little bit there. And it reminded me of the Giants game with Danny Dimes just taking off and running or whatever. And I thought, like, do we have an answer for this? Did we ever find out, how to shut this down? And apparently we did. And it started working out for us a little bit, not so much where like I would put the entire win on the defense's shoulders. That was obviously Trevor Lawrence and how the offense was moving, but they managed. They gritted their teeth and they skated by. They got a fumble recovery there, the end zone that turned the game around or whatever, put it in our favor and stuff. And so I would say like throughout the entire game, whatever, if they just played like consistently, that would be, we wouldn't have had a moment where we would have been like, oh my God, can we can we get through this, or can we win this? So
yeah,
go ahead.
My only caveat is, how do you let 35-year-old Deshaun Jackson get behind both the back end, your defensive backs? I don't know if it was safety, I forget which players it was. I don't know if it was cornerbacks or safeties or whoever it was. How do you let a 35-year-old man get behind you deep into your own territory like that? But they did have they got the stops they needed. This was one of those games where the offense was going to have to compete with the Ravens, because offensively the Ravens are a very good team. And no, we didn't hold them to like a record low amount of points, but we got stops. Defense got stops when they needed to. They again didn't get very many sacks. I think there was one sack. Trayvon Walker was mentioned once in the game, and he got a little bit of pressure and forced Lamar Jackson out of the pocket. But Lamar Jackson did not have a single run that was a highlight reel run. Right. He didn't have one of those where it looked like he was on ice skates and everybody else was, standing in mud, which he's done to a lot of teams. I don't know if that was anything that the Jags did to cause him to not be able to do that, or if he was just having a bad game. Like, I don't know. It just the defense did what it had to do. Andrew Wingard with the big play that he had, with the fumble recovery or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, they did enough. Like, I guess that for me, that's how I would sum up the defense. They did enough. It wasn't great. Devin Lloyd, as the season goes on, looks worse and worse, which is weird because he came out, sort of on fire. So I don't know what's going on with him. Chad Muma has taken his starting spot, but he was out. One of the touchdowns, Devin Lloyd, somebody was breaking down film. I was watching on YouTube or somewhere yesterday. Devin Lloyd just was on the complete wrong side of the field. That was his man to pick up, and he just ran in the complete opposite direction. He thought he was going where he was supposed to be, but he was just completely off. So there are little things like that are concerning, where if you've got to make a 6-game run to win the division and get in the playoffs, because you're not getting a wild card spot. It just ain't happening. The path to the playoffs is, through the division. That sort of stuff concerns you, when you have players just wide open all the time. But other than that, they did what they had to do to win. What did you think seeing it live, Matt? Like, what was it? Your take?
It was from the first drive from the Ravens. We had Ravens fans in front of us, and I yelled, like, when we stopped them on third down, I said, bend and not break. We'll take the 3 over the 6, right? And so that's what it was all day, man. We were bending, but we didn't break. And there was nothing crazy special about the defense. I'll take the bend and not break as long as our offense can make up the difference, I guess.
Yeah.
But going to the game, I even said last week that I thought we had a good chance of winning this game, because if you look at the Ravens, yeah, they have a better record than us, but if you look at their games, we're like almost mirror images of each other. But the difference is instead of the ball not bouncing our way, the ball has been bouncing their way all season. They've every single game that they've been in, it's been a super close game, and it's been 7 or less points of a win for them. Where for us, we've been in every game, but we've lost those close games. And so I felt like we had a really good chance because their offense hasn't been doing very much at all this year. They've just been winning, and that's all that matters, right? It doesn't matter how it looks or how you do it.
Yeah, but they're not the dominant team they were like 2 seasons ago offensively, right?
Right.
So they seemed much more beatable. Not, and this could have gone the other way too. If those field goals were touchdowns, and the defense doesn't bend but not break, then we're talking about a whole different outcome.
Oh gosh,
but that's not what it was. So,
and how about that squib kick? What do you guys think about that? Like, hey, they've got one of the greatest kickers of all time. Hey, let's just squib it and give him a short field, right?
That was stupid.
We'll be fine.
Yeah,
we'll be fine, right?
Squib kicks are great if you can execute it, but I've never seen one that actually worked out the way I think the coach thought it was going to work out.
Yeah, never.
Scenario there, and then at the end of the game you have the bionic leg of Justin Tucker. I'm telling you right now, I legit thought he was going to make that kick. I said, this is the new way the Jags have invented to lose on a record-breaking field goal kick. And honestly, that's one of those, if that's what had happened and the guy hits a 67, 68-yard field goal, you just sort of tip your hat and say, well, what the heck am I supposed to do about that, right?
It's freaking Justin freaking Tucker.
Right? A future Hall of Famer, most likely, as a kicker, which is crazy because there aren't that many in there. But yeah, he didn't, he was 1.5 yards, 2 yards short. But thank goodness, we didn't do some other bonehead defensive play and let them have another, 6-7 yards before they kicked it, because then it would have been game over.
He could have been at 70 yards and my heart still would have been in my chest. Dude.
Oh yeah.
any other kicker, and I'm not worried, but Justin Tucker makes you think. But Wiley Wheeler from the Facebook group said we're all sporting Speedos at the Dallas game. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know. Listen, I don't know, dude. We'll see. Maybe we'll just get some American flag shorts. Not Speedos, but it's possible. So next week we got the Lions. And Matthew Briggs curses on him. He says, Lions by Fitty. Sir, I think you meant to say Jaguars by Fitty. And then RJ Ellison, I'm just going to get his comment out of the way. He says, Jags getting smacked next week. Tighten up. Listen, you better get your mayonnaise jar ready to cry in, buddy, because that's the first of 2 whoopings you guys are taking from the Jags. I don't want to hear any nonsense from y'all. So,
hey, listen, we're the winningest AFC South team in December of 2022. I don't want to hear nothing Titans fans, Colt fans, or Texans fans got to say.
We are undefeated when Jacksonville wears his American flag Speedo.
Yeah, get your wins up. Get your wins up and then come in the comment section.
I'll tell you the same thing I told Aiden. Get back at me when you beat a team that's above 500, buddy. Anyway, all in good fun. We love you, RJ. Their show's coming up next. If you're a fan of football conversations, the Titans Coliseum coming up 9:30 Eastern, I believe. Either them or Texans. I don't know. There's another show. If it's RJ, you should watch him. If it's Matt Briggs, you should watch it.
It's the Houston
show. All right, never mind. So,
real quick before we move on to the Detroit game, I just want to give a shout out to the people who help us pay the bills, and that is manscaped.com. Guys, with the holidays coming up, you're gonna be spending more time with your family, with friends and loved ones. Make sure that you smell good, you look good, and you feel good. And the best way to do that is go to manscaped.com. They got plenty of products to get you ready for those family outings. You're gonna be inside, you're gonna be close to people. Make sure you smell and look and feel good. And so if you go to manscaped.com and put in fan battle, the code fan battle, here we go, we'll show it to you. You'll get it's not 20%. I believe it's still 25% off your order plus free shipping. So again, go to manscaped.com, put in code fan battle, and you get a nice little 25% discount and free shipping.
Yep. Merry Christmas to your whatever product you're gonna buy, whoever you're gonna buy it for. Merry Christmas to the people you will bless with your 25% discount.
Yeah, so dude, turn a Sasquatch into a baby. Manscaped.
So Detroit, I don't have really too many thoughts on that. I think they could be a sneaky team. They could have and should have beat the Bills. I think I think we're gonna have a really great look at the guy that we should have drafted, and I still believe that to this day. Who knows? Maybe Walker ends up having a better career. I know we're still within the first season, but still, I would to this day, I'd rather have a Hutchinson, and we'll get a better look this week. We'll see how he performs. Oh no, I really don't have much for this game coming up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to the Ravens game. The Lions offense is going gangbusters at times. So the Jags defense is going to have to get stops, or at least bend but not break. And the Jags offense is going to have to match the points that the Lions are going to put up. The Lions are a sneaky good team on offense. I'll be honest, I enjoyed watching them on Hard Knocks on HBO at the start of the season. Like, Dan Campbell seems like the sort of coach that players love to play for, and I think you can sort of see that on the field. But it will be interesting to see Aiden Hutchinson versus Trayvon Walker, to see if either of them have any sort of a impact on the game, positively or negatively. But I just think we got to beat the Lions. If we can't beat the Lions, we're certainly not going to beat the Cowboys. And the Cowboys is going to be one of those games where it's going to be a game we need to win if we want to make some sort of last minute playoff run. So hopefully they'll beat them, but I don't know, man. It feels sort of like a pick'em game. Whoever makes the most mistakes is going to lose, is what it feels like, more so than a team's going to win it.
Right. Yeah. The Lions are not a speed bump. They're actually a decent team, and coming in, ETN has that problem with his foot, so it'd be a really good time to have another premier caliber back right now. Yeah, with James Robertson.
I still wonder what could have been, right? But it sailed. So what can you do?
I mean, yeah. So as long as T-Law keeps having the game that he's having, and the defense, either bends but not breaks, and or steps it up, like I'm hoping that they will. The game can go either way, but I believe in the Jags. I believe in how they're clicking right now. That's the most exciting part for me. And if that piece falls into place or whatever, everything is going to be fine.
Yeah, a lot of other iterations of the Jags team have given up at this point in the season, right? Just all hope is lost, and there's no chance that they're going to win any more games, and it doesn't feel that way this year. We got another comment that says, the Jags can steal a wild card from the Chargers or the Jets. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe depends on how the season plays out. But again, the easiest, safest route is win the rest of your games, win the division, and we'll see what happens.
So here's something interesting with the Lions. I didn't know this, but they're 3-2 in their last 5, and the 2 that they lost were to Miami, who we all know they're having a really good year, and Buffalo, and they're having a really good year. And both of those games, so the Bills, they lost to them by 3 points. In Miami, they lost by 4 points. So the Lions are no schmuck. Like, they're 4-7, but they're a good 4-7. They're scoring more points than we are. They're putting up some yards. Like, Goff's statistics are very similar to Lawrence's. Goff has 17 touchdowns. Lawrence has 16. So, and then looking at the injury report, Cisco was questionable. Etienne and Zay Jones both questionable. So those are 3 key players. I think we've had a pretty good year so far as being able to stay away from the injury bug. But if those 3 continue to stay questionable and are out, that's a huge hit for us. So we'll see what that looks like.
I mean, that's one of the next steps to being a good team, right? Is when you have injuries. How do you still figure out how to win? We'll see. I hope they figure it out, but I don't know. See what happens. I think, all right, let's give quick score predictions because we're almost out of time here.
Yeah.
Cody, I think I can guess what yours is going to be, but I'll let you go first.
Jags by 50.
There you go. How amazing would that be if we just stomped the Lions, right? The Detroit City cat fight, Motor City cat fight. So I don't know. I think it's going to be another like 35, 35-28. I think the Jags pull it out. I think Peterson is a more experienced coach than Dan Campbell. I think it's going to come down to who makes less mistakes. So I'm gonna go all in on the Jags this time. I think 35-28 Jags.
35-28. I am gonna ride your coattail and 35-28 as well. I like that score.
Let's go. Yep.
Both teams are putting up some good numbers. Both of our defenses are so. So I like that. I like that a lot. 35-28 Jags. So
there we go.
All right. Well, do you guys have any closing thoughts for the previous game or the next game?
Ravens fans, your tears are delicious. I saw a lot of them crying. And let's do it again next week.
Lamar, I want my Nickelodeon award back, and I want it in my quarterback's locker
That's right.
right now.
Yeah, give it to T-Law. He deserves it. Sir William Trevor Lawrence, the first of his name.
And for me closing out, you get a cough, and now you all have COVID. No, all I gotta say is just Duval till we die, right?
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
for life. But anyways, guys, thanks for joining us for another edition with the Jaguar. We had a lot of fun celebrating this win. We'll see you guys next week as we cover hopefully another Victory Tuesday/Thursday edition of the Jaguar.
Yep. And next week will be Tennessee Hate Week, so that'll be fun.
Ooh,
Oh, I'm excited.
the Haterade.
Yep.
Let's bring it out.
All right, y'all. See you.